Hey guys, it's Tom Box, and today it's all about Lunalights. And Lunalights, they are super strong, super fun. I've got you guys a deck list, and to go with that deck list, I'm gonna give you guys combos. There's two combos of the baseline golden standard combos of the 1 cards, and then we have some Droll line combos just so that you guys don't just lose to Droll, because it's gonna be one of the biggest kryptonites against this deck. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and let's go. To kick things off, triple gold Leo. This is the new starter of the deck. You want 3 of this card because not only is it a starter, it's also one of your extenders to help you fetch back stuff out of the graveyard. You can use it immediately on its own effect. Sure, that's like kind of using like Rhoda, but on top of that, it also triggers the things that's being sent because it's sent by card effect. But if you want to use it in a more versatile way to play around Droll, whatever the Kaleido Chick sends to the graveyard for cost, Gold Leo can add it back into your, and that's one of your ways to play around Droll. So you can still kind of search your cards, but you know, a roundabout way to actually get to do that. Next, we have 2 copies of Lunalight Silverhound. So this is the summon a Lunalight out of the deck effect, where if this is sent to the graveyard, you get the ETLES effect, and you can summon any Lunalights straight out of the deck. So it's really good. It's a starter and extender, but if the monster summoned out from Silverhound's effect is on the field, your extra deck is now locked into Lunalights while that monster is on the field. So you gotta find ways to remove it out the field by either bouncing it back to your hand, sending it to the graveyard, or fusion summoning it off. It doesn't like perma-lock you, but while that card's face up, it is a bit restrictive. And yeah, this is a 2-up for me, because playing 1, if you have this card in your hand, then all of the Foolish Burial-esque effect to kind of trigger Silverhound becomes a little bit more difficult. And next, we have 1 Kaleido Chick. This can be a 1 to 2 of. Personally, I play 1. It is a soft once per turn. By cost, you can send from the extra deck or main deck, you know, monsters into the graveyard. Essentially, you're going to be spamming that effect nonstop, even if it is negated, because it has a cost to dump into the graveyard. It is dumping by cost, so some of these monsters, like the Silverhound, will not trigger. You're mainly putting it there so you can load the graveyard, so you can perform the graveyard-based fusions, like, you know, putting Leo Dancer in there so that you can use the Miracle Fusion-esque effect from like Wolf, or maybe your polymerization once you had turned on Masquerade. That's what this is for. And sometimes, even if it is negated and you got a gold Leo, you can use the effect to kind of dump maybe a Tiger into the graveyard and add that Tiger back to your hand. So this is going to be your most versatile monster. You can play an additional copy if you're worried about it getting crowed. Next, we play 1 copy of Yellow Martin. I was playing 2. 2 is probably the better number, but right now I'm just adjusting my ratio. But Yellow Martin is your go-to monster to be dumped by the Gold Leo, because it sets it up so they get to add Lunalight, Masquerade, and of course it's got that bounce effect so you can bounce back your Tiger and respam your Tiger. It's just a wonderful card overall. But that one is hard once per turn and does get banished when it leaves the field. And then I play 2 copies of Lunalight Black Sheep. You can play 1, 2, or 3 copies. Some people play 3, but this is not even once per turn, so that's why this card is awesome. You can discard it to add polymerization. Once you have polymerization, you can basically play through most hand traps because it's not that hard to kind of find a path to Liger Dancer. But on the other hand, you can use this, of course, to add back a monster in the graveyard. Somehow you manage to Kaleido Chick into the graveyard at one of your Tigers, and you want to add it back, but you don't have any other means, then Black Sheep is the way to go. Of course, this is like a level 2 Beast Wars, so searchable by Tenki as well. And if you use this as a fusion material, you get to retrieve back a Lunalight monster out of the graveyard and add it back to your hand. Or if there's a pendulum, you can add the face-up pendulum from your extra deck into your hand as well. So it can help you retrieve cards like Tiger if it got blown up halfway. And so, next we have 1 Emerald Bird to summon back the banished monsters if it does get sent to the graveyard by a card effect. You're not really going to use the draw effect unless you really need to, because the summoning of this card is typically not going to be like something you need to do. And then as for the pendulums, we have 2 Tigers and the Wolf. The Tigers, if you guys don't know already, these are of course your soft once per turn Reborn. If it's destroyed, you also get to Reborn, but now you actually keep the effect. But anything you revive a Tiger, soft once per turn, and is also negated when they bring them on board. But that's okay, because if you send away your Black Sheep or your Kaleido Chick, they're still going to be able to send cards into the graveyard, or when they use this fusion material, add stuff back, so that doesn't really matter. And then there's Wolf. You should know that you should try to use both effects of Wolf, because if you use the main monster effect of Wolf, that's just because your opponent set up a big wall and you want to pierce through and get game, so that's why you would summon on this card, and the easiest way to summon it typically is going to be through Perfume Dancer. But on the other hand, the fusion effect, again, much like Tiger, is soft once per turn, so if you bounce this card back after you use the fusion effect and you play it again, you can do another fusion, which is why, yeah, it's pretty sick that you get to do that. And this is also one of your ways to bypass Drone Lockbird. And if you need to dump this to the graveyard to get the setup with Gold Leo, by all means, that's one of the ways to do it. And finally, we have 1 Tri-Brigade Fractal. This is just essentially extra Foolish Burial. I don't think you're ever going to use the other effect to summon a cross sheet, but hey, who knows? Maybe you have no choice and that's what you're stuck with. As for hand traps, these are one I'm playing right now, triple Fua. Okay, I'm playing triple Ash because we just need Ash to stop stuff, and we are playing triple Droll. We don't have Maxi in this version, so, you know, this is TCG. What do you expect? For spells and traps, we have the Polymerization. It's a fusion-based deck, so you can use that, you can cycle it, and there's one Lunalight Fusion and triple Masquerade. So the Lunalight Fusion is searchable from the Yellow Martin as well as the Masquerades. You should go for Masquerade first, because this one actually lets you combo. If you already have this, you can use this as a little bit of a backup fusion in case you can't retrieve a fusion out of the deck. So for the Lunalight Fusion, this card's amazing because it's just poly, but if your opponent controls another monster on the field that's from the extra deck, you can use one of your extra deck monster as material, helping you beeline straight into Liger Dancer. And then you can just Raigeki their board. This is going to be very, very useful and flexible overall. And then there's the Lunalight Masquerade. This is your Foolish Burial. You activate it, ignition-like effect. You can dump any of your Lunalight monsters into the graveyard from the deck, so that makes it very easy. But if you perform a fusion summon while this is on the field, add back a poly, and you have the option to discard a card by card effect. And whenever you perform any further like Lunalight monster fusions, you can use your graveyard and banish those cards as material. So that's what this offers. Next, we have 2 copies of Perfume. That's just a choice. You can play a third one, but this is the Reborn of the deck, and you can banish it as your Rhoda. Neither affects once per turn, so that's why this is crazy, and this is your search option. And a very easy Foolish Burial Goods option. And speaking of which, Foolish Burial Goods, you can play 3 if you want, but sometimes I find it very clunky, and that's why I don't want to play 3. I've opened 3 in one game, and it felt really, really bad because I don't have options. As well as Foolish Burial, well, that's why we play Fractal. Fractal and Foolish Burial are essentially the same thing. So this really works out as a deck that you can kind of play around Droll as long as you need to by dumping stuff into the graveyard. And then we play 1 Tenki because we play the Tiger King. Now this here, I play triple Droplet. Droplet should be a pretty mainstay in the deck because you can either play triple Droplet or instead you can be playing Dominus Impulse. Here's a more clear version. You'll be playing Dominus Impulse instead if you want more hand traps, but if you're going to be playing Board Breaker, Droplet's fantastic because there's so many cards in the graveyard that have graveyard-based triggers or ignition that you can use that to get a lot of card advantage and pay for Droplet essentially for free. But it's one of the best ways to kind of clear off some of the problems. And then I play 1 Call by the Grave and 1 Triple Tactics Talent. As for the traps, it's pretty self-explanatory. I play 1 Black Goat Laughs, namely to kind of pair it with a lot of the discard-based effects, so I can turn off the effects of stuff on the field, like Detonator, for instance. And then, of course, there's going to be 1 Serenade Dance, because this acts as like your second copy of E-Telly, if you can dump it into the graveyard. Like, paying costs with these, they feel fantastic. For the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Perfume Dancer. Don't forget about the bounce back and summon effect of Perfume Dancer, so it's like an extra summon that you can get out of just this card. And bounce back your Tiger so that you can get additional special summons. So this card is pretty insane, and not to mention it's one of the only names that can search Lunalight Perfume out of the deck. The rest of the Fusion Toolbox, we have 1 Cat Dancer and 2 Leo Dancer. Leo Dancers are there just for fusion material and fusion material names. As for Cat Dancer, it can't be destroyed by battle, so it's there to kind of wall off for you. But if you want to use this offensively, you can tribute 1 of your Lunalight monsters, and then you can attack every single monster. And you get to attack it twice since it won't be destroyed by battle the first turn. Every single time it attacks, it boosts its attack. So you really use this to push for damage overall. But typically, it could be one of the names that you dump into the graveyard, or it's an easy fusion summon that you can bring out. But Cat Dancer usually works best if you need to pierce through a whole wall of defense, and you can find an OTK that way. As for the big boss, we have, of course, 2 Liger Dancers. We only have 2 Leo Dancers, so that's all the names we have to offer. And we have 1 Saber Dancer that requires 3 names, and that's it. You can summon this card out. It's really big, gains attack for every banish, but if this card's in the graveyard, except for the turn sent there, you can banish it and boost up one of your Lunalight monsters' attack. And you can use it to boost up your Liger Dancer. Since this is technically a Lunalight effect, you can now swing twice for about 6,800 damage. You can probably push through like a Prosperity. I think this deck already pushes through Prosperity, so who knows. And then we have 1 utility monster of Guardian Chimera since you play Polymerization anyway. Now, as for the Xyz, we have 1 Tiger King to search your Tenki, and also acts as a full board negation if needed. We have the Baguska, and I'm choosing to play Tornado Dragon. You can play the Rock if you want, but Gallon Granite can get you the Nibiru if you play Nibiru, but Tornado Dragon can also help you pop one of your own cards, namely the Scale, so that you can summon another card out of the graveyard so that you can kind of push your play maybe into an SP plus something else. It's an option, and I like kind of forcing my opponent's back row, but that's just my choice. You can even choose to play Evil Swarm Nightmare to book your opponent's cards, because these are level 4 dark monsters that you're going to be using. So those are the options for you. And then there's going to be the Link monsters. There's going to be Cross Sheep and SP that you just can't escape playing because they are going to be mandatory for the deck for holding the board down. I'm choosing to play Access Code, but usually this is like a boss monster range here where you can go for Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, because she's like just a non-target removal in case you run into that problem. Yeah, I think that's really it. But I'm choosing Access Code because I can use this to kind of dodge the taxing effect of Mitsurugi, the Murakumo. So yeah, we got that. That's the deck, and let's go into combos. It is combo time, and we're going to do 2 sets of combos. The full potential combo starting with the Gold Leo, and the alternative combos starting with the Foolish Burial or Tenki starts, and then we're going to do the Droll S set combo. And yeah, anyways, let's get started with the gold standard of combos. You have the Leo, normal summon the Gold Leo, add the Yellow Marten to hand, and then we're going to discard that Yellow Marten, triggering the Yellow Marten, and that's going to add the Masquerade into our hand. Don't activate the Masquerade or any continuous spell into the Pendulum columns, because we need both to get our full potential combo. As for our discard outlet, we have the maximum extended of the Serenade Dance, which can end on the nastiest boards, but you know, you might not have it, but even if you don't have it, it's fine. So now we're going to activate the Masquerade effect. We're going to send to the graveyard the Silver Hound effect, summon out the Kaleido Chick, and while that's on the field, we are locked into fusion. So we're going to activate the Kaleido Chick, and we're going to send to the graveyard either the Tiger or the Black Sheep. You can kind of cycle it around, to be honest. And then now that we've sent the Tiger into the graveyard, that's going to let Gold Leo to add the Tiger back into your hand. So we get our Monster Reborn essentially searched into our hand. Next, we got to get rid of this back into our hand. So we're going to activate the Yellow Marten in the graveyard to put the Kaleido Chick back into our hand and special summon out the Yellow Marten. This gets banished when it leaves the field, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to overlay now since the Kaleido Chick is no longer on the field. This puts up our Tiger King, and we're going to summon that into zones 2 or 4 because we don't want to block our zones just in case we get hand trapped to the point where we can't finish off the board and we clog ourselves and can't use the Cross Sheep. The Tiger King will now activate on summon, setting the Tenki. Again, don't block the zones. Activate the Tenki, and that's going to add the Black Sheep. Activate the Black Sheep, and use that to add the Polymerization. And before we do any kind of poly play, since we want to get the maximum effect of all our cards, we're going to activate the Lunalight Tiger, and then we're going to use that to revive the Black Sheep. Even though it's negated, once it hits the graveyard again, it's going to proc due to the fact that we're going to use Polymerization right now. That plus the Black Sheep, Kaleido Chick, Black Sheep, Fusion Material, that's going to fusion summon into the Perfume Dancer. So I have a little explaining to do here. So I think I would personally activate the Masquerade here because this makes it a little bit safer to nib. Just in case someone doesn't know the matchup and they try to nib you like later on when try to poly in, that would hurt because you won't actually get to the Leo Dancer, and that means you don't get access to the graveyard. So we are going to go Chainlink 1, Perfume Dancer, Chainlink 2, Masquerade, Chainlink 3, Black Sheep to add back the Kaleido Chick, and we're not using Kaleido Chick at this point. We're going to use it later on because we're already getting back the Polymerization anyway. So Chainlink 1, Black Sheep, add back the Kaleido Chick. Chainlink 2, the Masquerade is now going to activate, or sorry, resolve, and that's going to add back the Polymerization, and we are going to choose to discard, and we're going to discard Serenade Dance. This is an extra card that if you have it, you should discard it for sure because it will push one extra body for you, and you can end on the almost fully unbreakable board. And then we get the Perfume Dancer to give us the perfume. So that is our current board. We're going to ignore the fact that this is here for now, but it's just going to be the extra play that we're going to do later on. So with that in mind, next we're going to activate Perfume Dancer's effect to bounce back the Tiger from Scale to summon our Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick here is going to activate, and we're going to drop the Emerald Bird because we want the special summon effect to get the extra body. You could just go for the safe play and just drop the Leo here and just start fusing. That will also work. But for now, what I am going to do is I'm going to take the Kaleido Chick and the Tiger King. We're going to link those off, and that's going to put up our Cross Sheep. Since we already added back the special summon option here through the Lunalight Tiger, we're going to activate the Tiger effect. We're going to summon back our Emerald Bird, into the zone, and that's gonna proc the Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is now gonna summon back the Kaleido Chick, and now Kaleido Chick can activate, and now we're gonna drop the Leo Dancer into the graveyard for cost, and now that's gonna copy the name. We're not gonna use the Masquerade effect yet to use the graveyard for material, but you can, and it's also a bit of a safer poly just because some people will wait for you to activate poly before dropping Nibiru. But since this is live, we're gonna have a pretty live play here. We're gonna activate the Perfume at this point, and we're gonna summon back our copy of the Black Sheep, so that we have the best materials available. And now we're going to play Polymerization, and we're going to fuse everything that's on the field because this is acting as Leo, summoning out our very first copy of the Liger Dancer. We got a pretty big chain coming up here. So chain link 1, you can go for Kaleido Chick to add back the poly. Chain link 2, Emerald Bird will summon back the Kaleido Chick, and chain link 3, the Black Sheep is going to add any monster back into our hand. We're going to add the Gold Leo back to our hand. So chain link 3, get the Gold Leo. Chain link 2, Emerald Bird is going to summon back the Kaleido Chick, and chain link 1, Kaleido Chick is now going to add the Polymerization back into our hand. So therefore we cycled most of these cards back to normal. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to activate the Kaleido Chick just to drop another name into the graveyard. I'll just drop a random name for now so that we can load our grave a little bit further. We can just create the Liger Dancer now, but we're going to push it a little bit further. We still have a Lunalight Perfume. We're going to activate the Perfume, and even if we got nibbed earlier on, you still would have summoned out essentially like a Liger Dancer, and you might have an option to go Perfume, get like maybe even a second Liger Dancer if you have the material for it. Just because you can go for Wolf Search, and then you can just banish the materials out of the graveyard. So that was the other option you could have tried. So we're gonna go Perfume, we're gonna throw in the Gold Leo, and we're gonna use that to add a second copy of Lunalight Tiger. Activate the Tiger. You can just revive any monster you want. I'm gonna go for the Yellow Martin just so that I can remove this out of the graveyard. Overlay the 2, and I'm just gonna make sure I have some space here, just so that I can make an open arrow for the Cross Sheep. This is going to summon into a Baguska. Now there's another option I'm going to show you guys in a second here. And now that we have the Baguska, we can just play the Polymerization now. And we can just banish 1, 2, the Leo. And I guess we can drop the Emerald Bird if we need to. And there we have it. That's enough materials to summon out the second copy of Liger Dancer. So that's one of the options here, all right? But instead, what you can push, if you want to, you can activate the Serenade Dance that was dropped in the graveyard, so that's why it's the extra extender, and then you can jump out another material onto the field, say this, and then you can just take the Wolf and the Cross Sheep and make it SP, so you have the full board with SP, and that's pretty hard to break. All right, so that's one way you can do it. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to get into this particular line and you want to use not Baguska, because Baguska doesn't do anything for you, instead, while you have the Cross Sheep up, instead of going for Baguska, you can go for Tornado Dragon, right? You can use Tornado Dragon. You can detach a material from the Tornado Dragon, like the Kaleido Chick, and then you can pop the Tiger effect, summon back the Kaleido Chick, drop another name in, and then take these two to go back into the SP Little Knight, and that's the alternative ending board that you can have. So you have a little bit of variation depending on which board works best for you. Next we have the solo Tenki line. No, so the Tenki line is a bit different because if you burn Tenki, that means your Tiger King will not be able to fetch Tenki, and therefore you're cutting yourself off from either the Black Sheep or the Tiger. So here's how it's going to be played around. So we're going to activate the Tenki to add the Fractal effect. We're going to send the Silver Hound, summon out Gold Leo effect. We're going to add the Kaleido Chick, and we're going to throw away just a different card in our hand so we can keep this for the normal summon. So we have the Kaleido Chick for the normal summon. You could have done anything else if you had an extender. That's why the perfumes are so important, because you can ditch it into the graveyard, ditch something else into the graveyard, revive it, and then banish the perfume to add like a Tiger or one of your Polymerization searches like the Black Sheep. Or the Wolf for that matter. But in this case, we can't do that because we don't have it. So we're going to now normal summon the Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick effect, we're going to add the Fusion base play because that gives us access to Perfume and gives us another search later on. So we're going to throw the Black Sheep into the graveyard for the Kaleido Chick effect. And Black Sheep is now going to be added back from Gold Leo's effect. So that puts it back into our hand. activate the Black Sheep, and that adds the polymerization into hand. Since we're locked into Lunalight Extra Deck Monster, we activate the polymerization to fuse away our Gold Leo and our Kaleido Chick, and that summons out the Perfume Dancer, Chainlink 1 Perfume Dancer to add Lunalight Perfume, and Chainlink 2, that's going to be Kaleido Chick, adding back the polymerization. So we can maintain our hand a little bit, and we get ourselves the additional perfume like this. So that's where we are right now. We can activate the Lunalight Perfume because we want to get the search, and the Kaleido Chick is the only one that loads the graveyard with additional resources, so we're going to go with the Kaleido Chick. And here we're going to activate the Kaleido Chick, and we're going to throw into the graveyard a Leo Dancer so that we have Leo Dancer available. It's not likely that we're going to be able to use this polymerization again, unless of course we already had Masquerade. And if we had Masquerade, that means we're doing a different line entirely. And so now we can activate the Lunalight Perfume, and this is going to add the Lunalight Wolf into our hand. And still, we also have to discard a card thanks to the Lunalight Perfume effect, so we get ourselves the Wolf. Okay, so now we take our Kaleido Chick and our Perfume Dancer. Now, before we do anything further, we go Perfume Dancer effect. We're going to bounce back the Kaleido Chick into our hand, and we're going to resummon the Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick effect again, and this time we can dump a second copy of Leo Dancer, just in case our opponent has DD Crow, just in case they have some sort of Bistio, they can crow away the major name. And in this case, even if they do have it, they get screwed over. So now we can now perform a Link Summon into our Cross Sheep. Activate the Lunalight Wolf and use the Wolf effect, and we're going to perform a Fusion Summon, banishing our Perfume Dancer. Leave the Kaleido Chick here because we're going to need it later on. We're going to get rid of our Leo Dancer, our Gold, and our Black Sheep. This now summons out the Liger Dancer. As a part of the effect of Cross Sheep, this is going to summon back the Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick effect. This time we throw our Yellow Marten into the graveyard, and this lets us put back the Wolf into our hand and perform our second summon. So we're going to use Yellow Marten's effect and target the Wolf. Wolf gets back to hand, summon out the Yellow Marten. And so we want to make it something more here. We can make a Baguska and end on that, and we have a Cross Sheep up here. But if you want to do SP and double, then you're going to have to overlay this, because this is going to get banished otherwise. And that's why sometimes people play like Gallant Granite, but I'm just going to burn the useless card, which is going to be the Tiger King here, and then we're going to link everything off into the SP. So now we have ourselves the SP. Next, we're going to activate the Wolf again, and now we're going to activate the effect to perform the fusion, and we're going to go for Leo Dancer. I think we only have exactly enough names now, and so we're going to fuse with 4, and that summons out the second one. And so we still have a pretty wild board where you have SP Little Knight, you have the Liger Dancer. So here's a Droll line I've been working on with the Gold Leo and Masquerade. If you have both of these, you can still end on SP and the Liger Dancer simply by starting off with the Masquerade, alright? You play the Masquerade, and if you know that your 3 cards cannot play into the Droll, go Masquerade, dump the Silverhound effect to check for Ash, and summon out your Kaleido Chick, okay? Don't use Kaleido Chick just yet, because we want Kaleido Chick to act as our second Rhoda before we get Drolled. And so now we normal summon the Gold Leo. Gold Leo is going to fetch a card directly from the deck. It's either going to be the Tiger, I think you can go for Tiger if you want to be safe, or you can just go directly for the Wolf, because the Wolf can give you the fusion and break out of the fusion lock. So that would work too. So if you go for the Wolf and add it to hand, and you discard something else out of your hand. Now you're going to get hit by a Droll and Lockbird. So Droll is now active. Now you're going to go Kaleido Chick, dump the Tiger, and then use Gold Leo to add that card to your hand, because a Lunalight was sent to the graveyard. Now that we're set up for the play, now we're going to activate the Wolf first. Wolf, so that we can perform a fusion summon, because we're still technically fusion locked thanks to the Hound. And we're going to activate the Wolf and banish the Gold Leo and the Silver Hound. This is going to enable us to summon out our Perfume Dancer. We're not going to get the search because we're still under Droll. But what it does enable us is turn off the fusion lock thanks to the Perfume Dancer bounce back and summon back the Kaleido Chick from hand. And this is going to let us activate and send the Yellow Marten into the graveyard. But before we do anything with the Yellow Marten, we're going to activate the Lunalight Tiger. Tiger effect to summon back the Yellow Marten, and this loads it up so that we can create our first Cross Sheep. or only cross sheep rather. Now, we haven't really used the effect of Yellow Marten, but we did burn our tiger, and we have also burned our wolf. So we're going to bounce back the wolf with the Yellow Marten and summon it into the cross sheep arrow. This is going to allow cross sheep to summon back the Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick now can activate again, and this time we're putting the Leo Dancer into the graveyard. And technically we can just activate the wolf here. Yeah, we can still make our full summon here, and we're kind of safe from our opponent like hitting us with anything now. So now we can essentially take the two monsters here, we're going to overlay them, and we're going to make our Tiger King. Tiger King effect under Droll. We can still set the Tenki so we can prepare ourselves for a future play. So we can set the Tenki right here. We're not really using the effect of it, we're just setting it up for it. And then now we can link this cross sheep with the Tiger King and make ourselves an SP Little Knight. Now we can activate the Lunalight Wolf. We're going to use the effect once again, and this time we're going to banish the Yellow Marten, the Fusion, the Leo, and the Kaleido Chick for 4 monsters, giving us our Liger Dancer. So this is SP Liger Dancer with the follow-up Tenki built into the back row, and you also have the Tiger on the board, and of course the Wolf is still there too. So this is what the setup offers under the Droll Lockbird. But you might also be wondering, oh, why would I do this line if the other lines are better? Well, if you didn't get Drolled and you still went for this particular line, that means when you made the Perfume Dancer, you would have added the Lunalight Perfume into your hand. And not only that, the Tenki can also search for Black Sheep, which can get you the polymerization. And if you're smart with your plays, and with the Perfume giving you additional body and an additional search, you're still ending on a full combo. So if you're gonna get hit by a Droll from the opening play of Tenki, activate Tenki and add the Fractal. They decided to go flip the Droll and Lockbird. Alright, Drolled. You can still use the Fractal effect and dump Silverhound effect, summon out the Kaleido Chick. Kaleido Chick can still pay for cost, and we're going to put the Yellow Marten. There's no point in putting anything else at the moment because you're sending by cost, so nothing's really proccing anymore. So Yellow Marten can help you get an additional summon by bouncing back your Kaleido Chick and summoning out your Yellow Marten, and you can use this as a normal summon. And then you can normal summon out this card. The Kaleido Chick can now go off once again and likely put in the Leo Dancer into the graveyard if you want to kind of set it up for the turn after, and you can use these two to make a Bagooska. It also prevents you from getting hit by like a 1 imperm turn off your Bagooska because you have Silverhound in the graveyard with the Fusion. Sure, you might have to rework it a little bit in the future, but at the moment right now, you can still put out a Bagooska with a negate. However, now let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back a second here. What if you had Wolf in hand? If you had Wolf in hand, then you just activate the Wolf and you just perform the fusion. So if you hard open some of the fusions, you can bypass the Droll entirely, and this will still give you the Liger Dancer. Sure, it's not going to be as strong because you have to fuse off everything and they get banished. So this is going to be the limitation of what your board is going to have. And you still have 3 cards in hand to play, but that's just kind of like the pivot workaround if you're just stuck under, Tenki or Tenki plus a fusion card. That's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two about how to combo play around Droll, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, and ding that notification bell. And if you guys want to learn how to beat this deck, check out the sidebar over there. There's probably the how to beat video there as well. Thank you guys for watching. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you all in the next one.